Hi, this is Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and you're listening and watching No BS Job Search Advice Radio. I say watch it because I simulcast these shows as Google Hangouts. You can watch them later on YouTube. You can listen to the show, of course, at Blog Talk Radio or through my website, which is No BS Job Search Advice. The show is designed very simply to try and help people find work more quickly. Because what I've learned over the course of the years is that for most of you, job hunting is harder, more difficult, more painful, and takes longer than it really needs to. And it's because of a mistake that you make. The mistake is acting and believing as though the skills needed to find a job don't exist. That it's just good enough to know how to do the job. In fact, there are different skills that will help you find work more quickly, and different experiences that you can get that will help you find work more quickly. That's where this show, my other one, which is called Job Search Radio, which, like this one, appears in iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, Player FM, the BlackBerry Store. Job Search Radio appears on webtalkradio.net. I don't do it on Blog Talk Radio. All my content, which is at my website, thebiggamehunter.us, is all designed to help you find work more quickly. Now, today's show has two sponsors. The first one is Audible. And if you go to audibletrial.com/thebiggamehunter and sign up for a trial of Audible, you'll be able to download a free audiobook as part of the trial. I know you like audio. You listen to my podcasts. You like the stuff that I do. So, check out audible.com/thebiggamehunter. My second sponsor is consultingassignments.com. And that's a site where you can find and fill consulting assignments, full-time consulting positions, temp to perm, and contract to hire opportunities anywhere in the world completely free. You can post a job or post your resume for free, search jobs and resumes also for free, as is the ability to contact one another. The only thing the site charges for is if you're going to feature a job or feature a resume, it is get this one, $10 for 30 days. So that site again is consultingassignments.com. Now, this is the beginning, I believe, of my 5th year of doing this show. And you can listen to my development over the years on Blog Talk Radio. I'm still cleaning up some of the old shows and titling them at the recommendation of the network, who seems to like the show a lot. So, pay some time at Blog Talk Radio. Subscribe on iTunes, listen to the shows through iTunes or the other sites I mentioned earlier. And I thought today we would do a show about evaluating the hiring manager. And, when all is said and done, there's going to be a point where you're going to be asked to make a decision about a firm. And ultimately, yes, money is going to be a factor in that decision. And the work is going to be a factor in that decision. But won't your hiring manager be a factor too? Aren't there things that you could ask he or she about how they do things and what their background is that would be helpful to understanding them and whether or not you could be successful working for them and working for the firm? Of course there are. So I thought I would cover some of the things that you might look into while you're interviewing with an employer. And again, don't ask these of HR. They're irrelevant to the equation. No disrespect to HR. Ultimately, you're going to be living and working with the hiring manager, not human resources. So it's their behavior rather than the company line that's most important here. So, when they ask you about whether you have questions, I always recommend that you ask them. So let's say I join and it's a year from now. I haven't just done a good job. I've done a spectacular job. What would I have accomplished within that year that would cause you to write a review describing me as, if not the best, one of the best people you've ever worked with? So what that does is give you an idea of whether or not their expectations are reasonable or unreasonable. Wouldn't you want to know going in that their expectations of you are unreasonable? Of course. But too often people don't ask questions that allow them to deduce that. Instead, they are kind of obedient. They ask about the job, they explore that, but nothing really related to the manager. So ask that question that basically says, so let's say I join and it's a year from now, and I haven't just done a good job. I've done a spectacular job, amongst the best that you've ever seen someone do, if not the best. What would I have accomplished during that year that would cause you to write one of those reviews? Okay, got that? Now let's continue on. You also want to find a hiring manager that will support your career development, will support your personal and professional growth, right? After all, if you think of doing this job for the next 5 to 10 years, ooh, doesn't that get scary? The same thing day in and day out for 5 years. Ooh, painful. So you might just simply say, you know, I'm looking at this as part of my career. And maybe I could just ask you, who on your team has been promoted and what did they do to earn that promotion? What that does is make them go, huh. And if they have to think a lot about it, there's a message in that. If they go right to the answer, there's a message in that too. So, again, you want to know how your hiring manager, your future manager, views promotions. Now, they may leap and say, look, there are no guarantees. She was with us for 3 years before this happened. It's not going to happen for you overnight if we hire you, but this is what happened for her or for him. So ask a question that finds out about how someone's been promoted within the group in the past. Now, you also want to ask a question about how they respond to suggestions. Now, I worked at a recruiting firm where management knew nothing and took no suggestions. It's bizarre. So, I pause and I always recommend to people, when you hire someone, are people expected or encouraged to suggest new ideas or recommendations, or just basically take direction? Now, whatever they answer is fine. But when all is said and done, I think most people want to be in an organization where not all their ideas are going to be taken, of course, but they can be heard, they can be respected, they can be evaluated for things like that. So, ask about how your ideas would be received and whether there's an expectation of you making recommendations or suggestions and proposing ideas or not. So that's another question you might pose. Another one relates to the work-life balance within the job. Now, I know a lot of people who work in careers where there's the expectation that they work 80 hours a week. God bless them. That's terrific. It's not like I have such a light schedule either, but if you say, we want you there from 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. And we'll have lunch catered at your desk. If that's what you want to do, great. But you might want to just simply ask, is the expectation of this job that someone work long hours, or is there on-call work? Is this basically 9 to 5, 8 to 6? What's the typical work environment like? So just investigate what the expectations are, excuse me, with regard to the hours put in. Now, one question is, are you a manager who does things seriously, or do you like to joke, have some fun? Do you enjoy humor in the workplace? And there's no real good question for that other than just put it on the table and simply say, what's the work environment like? Do people seem to enjoy one another? Is that something that you foster as part of building teamwork? Or is that something that's considered taboo here? Whatever it is, you need to know that as part of your decisioning. Uh, you might want to find out what a typical day would be like for you. One, have them say, what time would I get in the morning? What would I do first thing? What do I get involved with in the course of the day? Is it project work, ad hoc work? When would you see me finishing up at the end of the day? Just give me a feel for what a typical day would be like in the course of working for you. What that does is just describe what you'd be doing. And thus, you can say as a follow-up, is that what my colleagues would be doing, or is that what they would be doing is something a little different? And if different, how so? So just ask a question about typical hours. And then you might just follow up with one more question about, I've worked for managers before and organizations before where there are, obvious rules and then unsaid rules. If there are unsaid rules that are part of your expectations, could you give me an idea of what they are, what your expectations would be of me, how you might want me to conduct in the course of the workday? Do people need to socialize? Is there an expectation of people socializing? Like, what are the rules here? When people go out, where do they tend to go to? If you're someone for whom alcohol is an inappropriate behavior, either because you've had a history of addictions or for religious reasons, I think it's useful for you to know that, because sometimes in organizations where there's the people go out for drinks and there's the fooling around after work kind of stuff. I don't mean sex or anything like that, but there's people have a good time with one another. Being an outsider to those behaviors might be problematic for your career advancement. So these are some of the questions I would encourage you to explore in the course of your interview. Pick and choose the ones that make sense for you. If your instincts suggest certain questions and not others, that's okay. But I think leaving something unsaid and uninvestigated, like what the expectations your boss might have, your manager might have of you in terms of hours and what a typical workday is like, would be a huge mistake for you. So that's my advice for this show. I also want to encourage you, come over to the biggamehunter.us and go explore it, because I've got a lot of content there that will help you find work more quickly. You can search positions I'm recruiting for, watch, listen to, and read all the content I've developed over the years at my website. The job search stuff, the salary negotiation advice, the resume and cover letter tips, all the nuanced videos and articles I've written that are available at thebiggamehunter.us. So come over to the website, and I encourage you, go exploring there. And again, search positions I'm recruiting for. A few final things, if I may. First of all, if your current firm is trying to hire someone, send me an email at the address below, or send me an email at jeffaltman@thebiggamehunter.us. That's JEFFALTMAN at thebiggamehunter.us. Let me know who to contact and whether I should mention your name. I'd love to help your current firm staff positions. If we're not already connected on LinkedIn, send me a connection request. The address is linkedin.com/IN/thebiggamehunter. I accept connection requests from people worldwide, except if you're a third-party recruiter or a country known for scams or spam. And finally, while you're on my website, there's an audio that I sell there, winning phone interviews. And I'm going to have other audios available on regular interviews and on video interviews shortly. But in the meantime, download a copy of Winning Phone Interviews. You'll also receive a copy of my book, The Single Best Question You Should Ask on Any Interview, as part of your order. It is a whopping $10. 19 great minutes that will help you perform well on phone interviews. So this is Jeff Altman. Hope you found today's show helpful. Hope you have a great day.